And although I'm only 38 years old, I want you to understand that 10, 15 years ago, when I was in my 20s, none of this existed. You weren't a streamer, streaming didn't exist, YouTube didn't exist. There was no such thing as crypto, that didn't exist. None of these things did. People were out in the world working jobs, real jobs, like the memes you make all day long with the McDonald's hat. And people would work jobs all day long for their money, and then they would spend their money out in the real world, in bars or clubs or doing activities or spending time with their friends, etc. We have all fully plugged into this internet lifestyle now. We call it locking in. And I want to explain exactly what's happening here, because there's a very important yet devastating conflation that many of you are allowing yourselves to fall for, and it's going to damage you in the long run. The first thing I want to talk about is a universal constant, and that universal constant is that easy come, easy go. That is something that you've heard said thousands of times for a reason. And crypto is the easiest come money, which is why you see all these people on the internet talking about how they lost it all. It's amazing how the human heart is infected with a permanent and never-ending greed. Doesn't matter how much you have, you're greedy. This built the modern world. No matter how many skyscrapers were built, someone wanted to build a bigger one. No matter how much land was conquered, somebody wanted to discover more land. It built the modern world. But we're now in a position where nobody is building anything. We are simply being as greedy as possible in a minus-sum game. Crypto isn't even a zero-sum game. Zero-sum means win-lose. So if I put in $1 and you put in $1, one person walks away with $2, the other person walks away with 0. This is a minus-sum game, actually, because there's a whole bunch of fees involved for the platforms. So I put in $1, you put in $1, one person walks away with $1.80, the platform gets 20 cents, and another guy walks away with 0. So it's a minus-sum game that this whole crypto world's become. And a lot of this is based on the fact that real work doesn't pay anymore. And I've talked about this in other videos I've made. I've talked about it at length, that why would anybody dedicate their lives to getting a degree in engineering, to study hard for 5 or 6 years to build bridges for 100 grand a year when you can make 100 grand on Fartcoin? And I described how this is going to destroy society, destroy economics, because it's going to destroy the one thing that primarily built countries and nations, which was the hard work of young men. It is men that built everything you see around you. The buildings were built by men, the roads were built by men. It is men who did real things for a paycheck. But as we've been educated to the fact that our dollars are not real, as our governments have robbed us and stole from us in real time and inflated our currencies, most people feel like the only way out is to gamble. And the fastest way to gamble, with the highest and largest possible returns, are meme coins. Which is why we have this huge PvP insanity going on. And everybody's trying their very best to just gamble their way out of the hole, which is the economic trap we've been thrust into by the generation above us. How this is actually going to play out for society at large is going to be very, very interesting. But I want to give you all as many tips and tricks as I can for you to be successful if you're going to play this game. I can sit and tell you not to play the game, but that would be disingenuous, because to be honest, some people can win. So what I want to make you understand is the game you are playing and give you the best possible chance of winning it, because it is a minus-sum game. You must understand this. By nature, that means more of you are going to lose than are going to win. This is built into the parameters of the game you are playing. This is coded. When you see these P&Ls, you see people winning, you have to understand that for every person who wins big, often hundreds, sometimes thousands had to lose. This is something you have to keep in mind. And you want to put yourself on the correct side of that equation. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing you have to do is make sure you do not fall into the devastating conflation that I previously described. And that devastating conflation is confusing work with simply losing money. The reason this conflation happens is because work sucks, and work makes you feel unhappy because you don't like buckling down and getting work done. So because the feeling is generally a negative one, you, in your amateur mind, will conflate all negative feelings with work. So a lot of you will say, I'm working, I'm in the trenches. You're not working. You're scrolling Twitter, you're talking in Discord groups, and you're losing all your money. That's what you're doing. Now you call that work because losing all your money feels bad and going to work feels bad. Therefore, if they both feel bad, they must be the same thing. But they are not, because when you work, you create. When you work in McDonald's, you create a hamburger. When you work on a construction site, you create a building. If you're buying crypto coins, you are not creating anything. And you're not even creating wealth. When I talk about when I was younger, there was no way anyone got rich. This is true. The world was a very different place. The idea of how to make $1 million in the year 2002 was very different than now. But it was impossible for me to make money in 2002 without making other people around me rich and enriching the society at large. If I started a business, let's say I sold sofas, doesn't matter what it was, it could be the most mundane, silly thing you could think of. I had to get a shop front, which means I had to pay rent to the shop front owner who could afford to feed his family. Then I would have to get stock, which means that not only am I paying the person who manufactures the sofas and his large factory and all the people who work there and their families, and by extension, all of the houses built around that factory, and the schools for the children of the people who work in that factory, and the hospitals for the factory workers. All of this is infrastructure which is built primarily because I am a cog in a machine which is selling sofas somewhere in the world. I have to buy the stock. The delivery driver has to bring the stock. That's another man on a truck who has to earn some money. Then he brings the stock to me. I have staff who work for me. They have families. By the time I've made $1 million, I may have generated $10 million and operated at a 10% margin. But lots of people ate and were paid. Lots of money was made for the benefit of society. Buildings were built. Hospitals were built. Schools were built. Real things existed. With crypto, none of that happens. If I make $1 million in crypto, nobody gets rich but me. I just stole it. And that's what crypto is. And everybody understands that's what it is. Nobody is here under any illusions. But I want you to understand the game you are playing and never conflate the negative emotions that come with a crypto loss with actual work. Because if you want to play this game, you need to be working as hard as possible. And there's a few reasons for that. The first reason is, if you're going to play a coin flip game, you need as many coins as possible. If I said you need to get 10 heads in a row to become a millionaire, and you only have 10 coins, what's your chances? Low. If you have 1 million coins, what's your chances? Much higher. You need to have ammo. So if you're going to play this game, if you want to be in the trenches, if you want to play minus sum games, you need to be more focused on doing things outside of these games. I've analyzed something which has given me a quite sobering conclusion. When I scroll up and down Twitter and I see all these crypto people, I don't see that many success stories from people who purely started with $100, made some crypto money, and kept just aping in and getting it right and getting up to millions. A few have done that, yes, but most don't. The people I know who are successful from crypto are successful in things outside of crypto. So what crypto is good for doing is turning your money into more money. But you have to be careful that you are not falling in the trap of using up your time and not turning it into money. You can only make money one of two ways. You trade your time for it or you trade your money for it. If you are broke, you have more time than money, so you give up your time for money. If you're rich, you have more money than time, so you give up your money for money. But in the crypto world, trying to turn your time into money is a devastating trap. What you should be doing is using that time to make money and then turn that money into more money via crypto. This puts you in a stable position where a crypto loss is not devastating because you have an income, primarily. It also allows you to take more coin flips, which is important because it increases your chances of success. And 3, it gives you more to play with. I'm not particularly happy about the fact I just made $2 or $3 million off Milena. I don't care. Doesn't really change my life that much, but I can ape in with size. I can throw 5, 6, 700 grand at something. So I need to catch a 3x. I don't need to catch a 1000x. And I'm in that position because I make money outside of crypto. Let me tell you a really universal thing that applies to all realms of life. And I just said about easy come, easy go, but that's what the crypto problem is. People are making money now so easily, they're losing scope of what money is. And I grew up in the real world. Crypto's got it all messed up to the point now where people think 10 grand is absolutely nothing. And yeah, inflation's ravaged our community. Yes, 10 grand will not get you the Instagram lifestyle to get those girls. But if I told you to put crypto away, go make 10 grand, you'd sit there flabbergasted. No crypto, make 10 grand. You'd sit there and go, well, what can I do? If you went out there into the wide world and had to walk up to people and say, will you pay me 10 grand to do this? You'll be surprised how you'll often have to give up months of your life for that money. So 10 grand is real money. But if you work for it, you're going to appreciate it. If you get it easy, you're going to lose it easy. And that's what you see all over Twitter all the time. Another thing that's very important for you to understand before you play this crypto game, because there is huge amounts of FOMO in the air tonight and yesterday. I suffered it from it myself when I saw the Trump coin. Everyone has FOMO, and we're going to talk about how to apply the FOMO correctly. But it's easy to win at anything if you're good at other things. If you want to make it in crypto, the best way to guarantee that you do is to make it outside of crypto. The best way to make it in crypto is to make it outside of crypto. If you're making millions outside of crypto, you're going to be fine in crypto. You don't need to take the huge risks. You can buy Bitcoin and ETH. You can wait. You're not going to panic sell. You can DCA. And in the end, you're going to win. I mess around with meme coins. The majority of my wealth is Bitcoin and ETH. Boring. Why is it boring? Because I have huge pools. So why do I need to risk? I can play for the adrenaline. I can play for the fun. I can flip the coins. I don't need it to pull off. The majority of my wealth is Bitcoin and ETH. A lot of the young people aren't interested in these because they don't have enough money to get into them. I've once again told you how important it is you finally understand you need to get some money before the wealth divide is cemented into humanity and you never stand a chance of escaping. I've explained that at length many times on previous emergency meetings. But the best way for you to make it in crypto is to make it outside of crypto. And this applies to anything in life. You have to amplify your strengths. Amplify what you're good at, because that allows you to do other things. The easiest way to make it with girls is to make it outside of girls. You want to make it with girls and you're running around talking to girls all day. You're never going to be as successful as if you make it outside of girls. Get your fitness right, get some muscles, get some status, get rich, get a big house, get famous, get smart, get funny, get charismatic, make it outside of girls, and now you make it in girls. The easiest way to make it in business is to make it outside of business. Forget money. If you pull up to work, you're in shape, you're on time, you speak well, you're dedicated, you're in first, you're out last, and you're prepared to knuckle down, you're going to win. You're going to win if you just turn up looking good, confident, well-spoken, built well. All of that happens in the gym and practice at home. That doesn't happen in business. So if you're sitting at home saying, how do I make it in crypto? In this crazy, unprecedented, brand new, hyper quick, ultra competitive PvP minus some game, I would say the best chance you have is to make it outside of crypto first. Get your energy levels up. Get your brain sharp. Train hard in the gym. Open up a real business. Make some real money outside of crypto. Get a good network. Get some good friends. Build a life for yourself you're happy with. Now you can take risks in the crypto world. But that all takes real work. Trenching isn't work. Trenching is cope. Trenching is funny. It's trolling. It's ha ha ha. It's interesting. It's entertaining. That's not work. So a lot of you are forgetting when you see these shiny objects and this glorious FOMO with things like the Trump pump, that the best way for you to ever be successful on something like the Trump pump would just to be the kind of man who has enough money sitting around that once he knows it's legit, he could throw a few M at it and catch a 2X. Anyone could have done that. Nice and easy. A lot of you are coming to me saying, Andrew, I want to make a crypto. I need to make money now. I need to make money now. I'm like, what else are you doing besides crypto? Oh, yeah, nothing. So what, you just want to spunk your savings? You want to sit there and just in the trenches and just blow your savings? Then what? Another thing that money has altered in the world, this new form of money, this new way of making money. Primarily, the true wealth that you obtained from making money in the olden days were the lessons you learned as you made the money. If you had a sofa shop, you had to learn how to do taxes. You had to learn how to deal with the government. You had to learn how to sell to customers, how to be polite, deal with customer support. You had to learn how to deal with international business. Let's assume the factory you bought from was from another country. You had to learn how to have staff, keep them motivated, how to sell. You'd have to be on time and diligent and organized to keep your store open and clean and functioning. You would learn things. So by the time you became rich, all of a sudden, you have all these other skill sets. And these other skill sets translate. What did I say? The best way to make it at something is to make it somewhere else. If you make money in crypto, you haven't learned a thing. I'm not top G because I have money. Everyone has money now. Everyone's rich. Everyone has a Lambo. Everyone has an AP. I'm top G because I'm unafraid and I'm brave and I speak well and I'm smart and I'm insightful and I'm charismatic. All of this was learned by making money the hard way. We could even apply it to streaming. If I said to you right now you had to become a world famous streamer and you sat down in front of your microphone and tried to stream, you'd get some viewers, sure. But what would you talk about? What would you say? What would you do? You can self-detriment like a clown, like these other big streamers do, make a fool of yourself. But besides that, the only way you can get views as a streamer is to have made it outside of streaming like I have. You are watching me not because I'm a streamer, because I made it outside of streaming and I'm talking about my life outside. As you see crypto pump, yes, you need to allocate a certain amount of time and finance to crypto, of course. But you need to be more focused than ever to be successful outside of it. I know this seems counterintuitive. I know you're sitting to think, but Tate always says work, lock in. I do. But you are making a deadly mistake with this asinine conflation between perma-loss and getting wrecked and work. They're not the same thing. Another thing I want to say about the universe and how it works. God only gives you what you're ready for. And on the rare occasions he gives you something you're not ready for, you're going to regret it. I want to make you all feel better. If you're watching this and you didn't become a millionaire yesterday, I want to make you feel better. Because there are timelines in this multiverse where you caught that $1 million pump and you got in your car and you crashed. Could have happened. You could have caught that $1 million pump and somebody you love would have heard about it and got excited and tried to drive home a little bit quicker and crash their car. And if you could then, with hindsight, be offered two timelines, do you want that pump with these scenarios or do you want to ignore the pump and everyone be healthy? You'd choose the timeline you are currently in. So you don't need any FOMO. You're fine. Crypto is going nowhere. More pumps are coming. You now know that crypto is here to stay. This presidential administration is going to heavily adopt cryptocurrencies. You're going to catch a future pump. Nothing bad's happened to you or your family. So this terrible FOMO, this chasing shiny objects to imagine this perfect world where you pulled off this free money from the sky that you didn't even fucking work for. You need to get that out of your head. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted. So that FOMO that you feel, that negative emotion that you feel, that sadness that you feel, that inability to sleep, that anxiousness, that nervousness, that should have you in the gym training harder than you've ever trained. But instead, what it has you doing is scrolling up and down Twitter, refreshing the page, hoping that's going to somehow turn back time, which is a mistake.
10,000 of you have joined us on this incredible journey of self-growth and inspiration. That's truly inspiring for us too, with pouring our heart and soul into just a few videos. We were able to reach this far. We have been producing self-improvement videos on our other channel to help create a laser-focused and a truly self-disciplined community of great minds and help improve their journey towards success. Watch this video next if that interests you. And as always, stay inspilligent.